What's up YouTube, this is Slan here again from Northern Lan, and this is the custom Cityblock series part 4. And as you can see, I've got a nice stream of zombies chasing us, making a lot of noise, so I'm going to just dive straight on up to the doorways here before I go and give you the little intro. So we are in Alpha 14, if the two new prefabs with the words on the sides and all the fancy new letters wasn't indication enough. And this is, as promised in the last video, the 5th and for now final city block in the new custom city block set. Get my words all mixed up, there's too many city blocks to be talking about. So makes the 5th tile altogether, and this was quite a big tile in the last set. It's the main tile that will allow you access into the subway layer of the tunnels, which up until this point there's been very little ways to get in and about. Now I did say that you'd be able to get your mini bike down into the subway levels, and it's not entirely impossible, but as we come into the station here you'll sort of see the new layout of things, and you might need to do a little bit of prep work before you start doing wheelies down here. Now, I've left the zombies in on purpose because now that the city block set is ready for download, woohoo! You can go to the official thread that's usually linked in the description and see the mixer that I've set up for my own personal use, and also see how I've used the city blocks themselves and the different size city hubs that I've used them for. Now, my goalie might be adding these into the combo pack soon. He might not, however it's a very easy set to incorporate into your own mixer, and I'll help anybody who needs it to get that set up. So trying to avoid the zombies and all the noise, for those people who are familiar with the previous subway station, these two little stairways here were actually a little bit closer to the edge of the city block, and they had their own little sort of brick built mound, and the stairs went straight down. It was a very practical way to get into the sewers into the subway, without much thought really put into how it looked or how it might actually be in the real world. So the approach I went with this one was to try and set up something that looks a little bit more like a station, so you can see the building in all its glory. As it happens, this particular spawn is worked perfectly fine with the prefabs. As with the old city block set, it's not uncommon to see this layer, basically the 7th layer, the 4th from the middle. There's a 5 wide path that runs in between the prefabs that tends to be perfectly fine. However, these outside layers, depending on the rotation of the prefabs and the different lots, might actually clip a layer that out. Now, some prefabs, especially if they've used the full 45 by 45 allowance for the size, some prefabs are actually clipping out a whole section of wall on the subway station, which looks pretty, I would say terrible, but it's not that bad, but it doesn't look very authentic to say the least. And we're going to have to lose that dog if I want to take God mode off and have a run round. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll dive into the station itself, and the stairs that you've just seen us go down, these would have been the old ways down onto the platform. Now it's just its own little layer. We go in one side and we have public toilets. There we go, little bogs, all the doors are open, get in there. And the opposite side is now a little janitor's storeroom. Now the zombies are really getting angry now, so we'll just quickly go back up to the top and we'll head down this escalator here, which is now the new entrance into the sewer system proper. Now the first thing you'll notice since Alpha 14 is how bloody dark this whole thing is, and I was a little bit shocked at first, but then I was thinking we've never really had any proper sort of lighting beneath the ground, as in you've always seen the sun rise and cast shadows through walls and all sorts of craziness. So really this is probably the first time since I started making these city blocks that we've actually seen how dark the tunnels actually could, or more to the point should be. You know, there's no natural light. I designed the city with the idea that we have no working electricity, so all the lights are off. And as a good measure for performance, I used to always leave the lights off anyway, but now I actually see myself thinking maybe a couple of lights might not go amiss. Now I've got a purple flashlight on this pistol, which actually seems to be doing a much better job than the other one I was trying, but and that was just the fucked up night vision. We'll get into that in a bit. But what you can see usually is where you have the access points to the surface, which would be here, is it? No. Getting lost in my own subway. The thing is normally what I was going to say is where the ladders are, you would generally see a bit of the tunnel lit up, which looks quite funky. But one of the issues I've had since making this set, and more specifically in Alpha 14, is performance really seems to be shot to shit. Especially in a big city with the combo pack enabled. So I am actually at the minute on the fucking absolute diabolical of diabolical settings. View distance 5 might be acceptable to some people. On a PvP server, I can guarantee you it's going to get you killed. But it's the best performance boost I can give myself at the minute to keep the streams reasonably smooth. So, the main changes down onto this layer with the subway station itself is previously we would have had a straight connecting tunnel that would run north to south, and the east and west tunnels would have ended in a dead end with the platforms cut off. And what I've went for this time is for a more open approach. We can access both sides of the platform. It's still questionable how a subway cart would do a straight 90-degree turn to park here at the station, but they have a much more open feel, a bit more of a junctiony look about them, and more importantly what it means is if one station is tiled and just happens to land next to another one, the tunnels aren't as messed up, there's no dead ends so to speak, it flows together a lot nicer, a lot better. But other than that, there's not a massive amount of changes into this layer itself. So, on with the official release, because we're a little bit rushed for time at the minute. So what I decided is that when this one was ready, 14 had just dropped a day or two before I'd done it. I think we've had it 2 days now, maybe. And this tile was ready just before 14 landed. I just never got around to shooting the video. So as soon as the 14 update happened, I converted the city blocks into the new alpha. There was very minimal block changes, which was quite nice. It took about 10-15 minutes to sort it all out, and I was looking at the set as a whole and figured it was probably just better to get them out there, especially with the performance hit that I've noticed. So let us know what you think, you know, if there's any particular settings that you are playing with on a dedicated server in particular, then and you are getting good performance, I'd love to hear from you. Likewise, if it's just too much and it's not working to the point where actually you're not going to use these anymore, also let us know, because I do have a little bit of a backup plan as far as performance goes. It's just I don't want to butcher the prefabs themselves if the performance issues can sort of be fixed or made up by the pimps in an update. So for now, this is what we get. This is what we'll have to make do with. So if I just quickly hover on my map, I haven't revealed a lot of this one, but what I've basically done is set up an 8x8 city hub, and you can download that mixer with the pack itself from the official forums. But what I really wanted to show you is we have 2 versions of the city blocks available. We have the gluten-free edition, which is no zombie spawns, and we have the death by zombie edition, which is what we're actually playing in now, because one little cool thing with all these dark tunnels came about with 14. So I decided that I needed to get the zombie spawners in there. They were literally the only thing that was missing, and once I get down into the lower tunnels, I'm sure you'll start to see, because these tunnels in particular, especially when we get into the one beneath the road itself, have no light sources coming from them. It doesn't actually look as dark on the lower settings, which I suppose will be music to many people's ears. But what I've found is that they are so eerie and creepy, and now that there's zombie spawners down here, it's not the walk in the park that it used to be for travelling around the city, to say the least. Now, for people who are PvEing, it's going to make very little difference, but what it does mean is I can start to think about little hidden areas with some better loot as an option, now that there are zombies spawning down here. What I need to do is just find some. Getting lost in my own maze. But there's not a huge amount of spawners, but there is enough that when it's dark, if you don't notice them in the distance, where you get the sort of the little lit up end of the tunnel just outside of me draw distance, that's probably the biggest pick with the lighting situation down here now. But if I just pop the frames on, so it's holding steady with these settings. I do get the occasional stutter. On higher settings though, these things are absolute nightmare. One of the tiles has a dog spawner, and if you catch the dog underneath and you're stuttering about, it's a death sentence, which, I don't know, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. But as you can see, this is one of the tunnels that leads to a storm drain, and we've got a little bit of natural light sort of coming down from here. And if you didn't notice, the concrete looks like concrete again, so thumbs up to Mad Mole for fixing that one. Not that the old concrete was horrible, but you know, the blue marbling effects, it didn't look like normal mundane, you know, box standard concrete, which is when you're putting concrete down, it's the look that you want to achieve really. So, and there we go, there be the first zombie. Now night vision, now that we have proper darkness, I think needs a little bit of a tweak. Again, it doesn't seem too bad here, but I am on very low settings as I showed earlier. So, oh, is that the dog? It's the dog, and there's two of them. Now this purple pistol probably isn't enough to deal with them, but we'll just take a quick look anyway. They're obviously not interested, and I'm not really in the mood to go and disturb them either. If there's one thing that I've learned in all the months of playing 7 days, is you don't fuck with the zombie dogs. But as you can see, the tunnels themselves are looking quite funky now. The whole system is very maze-like. What I should probably do is jump down to the lower sewer area and we'll have a look down there, and we'll see what the new lighting looks like in the main waterway. I'm not too sure what to call all these different layers now, but we'll just settle with the waterway now for the lowest form. Now all the tiles themselves, oh, zombies up there. How the fuck do I get out of there? I know what I'm doing. See, this is when you know that you've built a good maze, when you've been working on it for 3 months and you still don't know your way around. But as you can imagine, if you're running around here, in particular over night time, when the zombies start picking up the pace as well, these places, on the PvP server we use them to hide and creep around the city, but everybody's going to have to be a lot more careful now that they're in there. So again, you know, we've got a couple of zombies loitering around in the water tunnels. If I just pop God mode back on so I can fly around a bit faster, just to give you a bit of an indication on what's going on. I mean, I love this now. I really don't want to have to butcher the system for the sake of performance, but I feel that, oh, hello. I really feel like performance and playability should come first, so if some sacrifices have to be made, then, you know, I'll get around to it eventually. Now, I still haven't really tested the structural integrity very much on the buildings that are spawning within the city. I have been in and about quite a few of them, but obviously I can't be expected to jump on every roof and search through every room, so you might see some buildings toppling. I must say I'd noticed some of the other prefabs, like the skyscraper by Pepino, which is in the combo pack, and one or two of the other tall buildings were collapsing anyway before I'd added the subway system. So, you know, there's a little bit of wear and tear, and oh my god, that was a particularly bad combo. What I've tended to do with the zombie spawners is place them on the corner of the tiles, so that when you do trigger them, even from one particular side, you know, they've got a little bit of room to manoeuvre, and they're not just going to be stuck, you know, bashing away into a wall or something underground. But like I say, I'm loving it down here now, and I think some hidden little rooms or some hidden little areas with some better loot, maybe a gun safe or a munitions box or something, some kind of maybe little, I don't know, survivor encampment or something along them sorts of lines is probably justified now that they're not just an easy walkthrough. I mean, like I keep saying, is we predominantly play on PvP, and having these extra layers beneath the ground, it opens the city up to a lot more people who might be a bit more shy, who are a bit more risk averse, who don't want to, you know, lose everything the second that they set foot into the hub. And it just means that for those who want to be quiet and sneaky and still, you know, don't want to avoid the PvP but aren't going to go out seeking it, you can still come in and have a look around. There's plenty of rubbish here to be looted. A lot of the bags and the better loot, even though from what I've seen, what they're spawning doesn't seem to be too bad on the regular settings that we play with, but a lot of the good loot containers have been reduced or removed. I know that a few people were concerned that the tunnels themselves were just an easy hideaway for some people, but I have taken that into consideration because it was a genuine concern myself. But what I'll do before I cut this off is we'll have a quick fly around and we'll see if we can spot any of the bugs and issues, because like I say, the mixer that I've got listed on the forums as part of the pack itself is my sort of selection of combo pack prefabs, and I've done my best to remove things that clip badly with the tunnels. Some prefabs still do, and it won't be uncommon for you to see like this ceiling replaced with a horrible stone wedge or whatever. Any prefab with a basement potentially can make these look a little bit odd, but all of the tunnels will be accessible regardless. So if you've got to put up with a little bit of clipping or a missing wall here or there, it's a small sacrifice to make to have it working with the combo pack. Squashing all these tunnels into 25 layers seems to have done the trick with getting the hub to spawn, but obviously there's a lot of errors and little mishaps that are showing up now that we didn't have with previous sets. So it's just something to be aware of. And if you are planning on building prefabs for a city, then I would suggest you have a little pop under the ground and, you know, maybe consider the sewers and subway if you're going to use them. But this is an example of the stations tiling next to each other. You know, you're getting in here, and instead of being sort of committed to going straight north, you have options. You can turn left, you can turn right, you could go up onto the surface. And there is definitely some errors around here. I've just got to look hard for them. I actually seen one on the first station. If I go back to it, if I can remember where that was. Was it here? No, I think it was this one. And the lovely little sound effect for the air. This is the one. So if I jump in it, there we go. So just quickly before I cut this off, this is an example of a prefab that has a large basement, and what I particularly like about this basement is it sits under the building, but we still get 45 by 45 area filled with shite. And it's, you know, Magoli does a good job maintaining the combo pack, and I kind of expect people to build with the city blocks in mind, but these are just a few little things that happen that you should maybe consider. Just because you can build up to 45 by 45 within the city doesn't mean to say you should necessarily use all of that space. But like I say, it's hardly game breaking. We'll still get the benefit of the tunnel, we'll still get the benefit of the subway cart, so as long as it works and we've got a bit of variety in there, I'm quite happy. That night vision as well, so disappointing. As soon as I seen the tunnels and all the darkness, I thought, yay, we'll have an excuse to use night vision, and it's absolutely terrible. In better settings, like I say, it's just... we kind of expect them to get it perfect first time, I suppose. I don't even know if there's actually a legit way to loot these within Alpha 14 just yet. But hopefully this is something the pimps are going to consider, since they've done such a nice job with the tunnels and the light itself beneath the ground. It would be a shame to fail at the night vision goggles, because I can see this being very much like DayZ, where, you know, they're going to be sought after and fought over, and if you see someone with night vision goggles, I think it's going to be very hard not to pull your gun out and steal them off them, especially if you don't own a pair yourself. So I think I'm going to call it a stop there. So for a little sort of summary, this is the version 4 of the Cityblock series, and they are available for download now via the official forums. There is a zombie edition and a no zombie edition, and as usual, all of your feedback is greatly appreciated. If there's something you'd like to see changed or added or removed, feel free to let us know here on Steam, on the Facebook group, all the usual places, and hopefully next time we will dive back into Project Slanhattan. I just quickly converted that one before, had a quick fly around, and it's looking gorgeous in Alpha 14. It seems to perform much better than what the cities are doing, so providing we don't have too many issues coming up with the city blocks themselves, I might get buried back into that one at some point soon. So this is Slan from Northern Lands signing out, and I hope you enjoy, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and more importantly at this stage, share the project itself about. The more people who download and try this, the better I can make them. The more feedback that I get, the better I can make them. So, you know, it's worth it for you as much as it is for me. I don't just enjoy creating these sorts of things, I build them to play on myself. So if you can help make it better, then I'm all for that. So until the next time, this is Slan signing out, and enjoy Alpha 14, everyone.